Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
May I ask you to put your hands together in Gasho? I have no idea whether the Nembutsu is truly the seed for my being born in the Pure Land, or whether it is the karmic act for which I must fall into hell. Should I have been deceived by Master Honen and saying the Nembutsu were to fall into hell, even then I would have no regrets. The reason is, if I could attain Buddhahood by endeavoring in other practices, but said the Nembutsu, and so fell into hell, then I would feel regret at having been deceived. But I am incapable of any other practice, so hell is decidedly my abode, whatever I do. Such, in the end, is how this foolish person entrusts himself to the vow. Thank you. Good morning again. It's hard to believe that 1 year has passed and gone since I delivered my first Dharma talk. Last year I spoke about the start of my journey as a minister's assistant in this wonderful form of Buddhism, Jodo Shinshu. This year I want to talk about three things: spiritual and social struggle, transformation, and restoration. We all struggle. Our founder, Shinran Shonin, struggled mightily for 20 years on Mount Hiei, practicing and studying Tendai Buddhism. However, Shinran left Mount Hiei in a state of spiritual and earthly despair. You may read for yourself about his subsequent 100-day vigil and his vision on the 95th day that led him to Honen and the Nembutsu. That is what the quote is all about: Shinran's spiritual struggle and his joy of finding the Nembutsu. It is fascinating, but today I wish to talk about Shinran Shonin's struggle and how it relates to our struggle here and now, today in this temple. You know, we are blessed by the efforts of the Issei who founded this temple here in Toronto. Issei is first generation Japanese Canadians. We are sitting, well, you are sitting, in this beautiful building which was built with the hopes and aspiration of our founders that we carry on this beautiful form of Buddhism. It was not always so. World War II, the evacuation, and the internment had led to a fragmentation of the Japanese Canadians, or Nikkeis, in Toronto. The first Jodo Shinshu church was at 134 Huron Street, and the first minister was the illustrious Reverend Tenryu Suji. Members of that first committee that founded that building were Harry Kondo, Toshio Nishijima, and Mamoru Nishi. You can read more about this in Bukkyo Tozen, written by Terry Watada, and available from our office. It was a social struggle that led to the establishment of Jodo Shinshu here in Toronto, and we are forever grateful. While different from the spiritual struggle of Shinran Shonin, the Issei, who founded this Toronto temple, found hope and inspiration through the Nembutsu. Now we who are here today also struggle in our tents to keep this beautiful form of Buddhism, Jodo Shinshu, alive and relevant in this Canadian society. So on to transformation. Shinran encountered the Nembutsu and found his foundation. You know, last year, January, it was, when I attended the pre-Tokudo training weekend, Reverend Inakoji Kim said something that stuck with me about struggle and transformation. The Reverend at that time was a major in the U.S. Army. He had reached, in his own words, rock bottom. Why he had reached rock bottom is another story and another Dharma talk. His words, and I quote, "You know, one thing about reaching rock bottom, then you have a firm foundation from which to grow." This is how, in my own mind, I picture Shinran Shonin in his spiritual struggle, in his transformation. He had reached rock bottom, and now he had his firm foundation. Now on to the last piece, restoration. Renyo Shonin, sometimes known as the Restorer, was born almost 200 years after Shinran. He was the 8th Lord Abbot of Honganji. Renyo inherited a school of Buddhism that was in total disarray. The number of followers were shrinking, and the remaining followers were aging. Jodo Shinshu was struggling amidst the many other schools of Buddhism that existed then in Japan. From a few followers to a great number of followers, Renyo taught Jodo Shinshu with his Greek oratory, his use of epistles, the Gobonshu, one of which we shall look at our Let's Talk Dharma discussion group, Shonin Ichiru. To repeat, Renyo taught Jodo Shinshu with his Greek oratory, his use of epistles, Gobonshu, and commissioning of the woodblock prints of the 2 works by Shinran. These were the Hymn of True Shinjin and the Nembutsu, which we call Shoshinge, and the 3 series of wassans. However, these innovations do not define the reasons for his influence in growing the number of Nembutsu followers. Renyo initiated the practice of chanting the Shoshinge as part of each follower's daily practice at home. This practice increased the devotion of followers to Jodo Shinshu. Another reason that Renyo Shonin became so popular was his practice of gathering like-minded devotees in fellowship, called Ko, where they would discuss what they had heard in the sermons. This would be a strong, unifying force in the propagating of Jodo Shinshu. Under Renyo's guidance, Nembutsu followers viewed Amida Buddha's name of 6 characters, Namo Amida Butsu, written in kanji, as their primary object of worship. They would chant Shoshinge and read the letters Gobonshu from Renyo. Discussion and contemplation of those letters would follow. This was a major reason for the growth of Nembutsu followers under Renyo Shonin. Under Renyo's efforts, Jodo Shinshu became a powerful religious body with great influence. So to summarize, spiritual and social struggle leads to transformation and ultimately restoration. These were true in the times of Shinran and Renyo. They were true in the times of our Issei founders. They are also true here and now for us today. Please join me in worship. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. It has listed on your program offertory, but you can do that afterwards, here on your own. I have one other thing I would like to do. If you could put your hands together, Joshua. By the sound of the gong, which reminds us of the impermanent nature of life, being awakened from a long dream of transient life, to the chest where both hands are placed in gasho, is heard the voice of the eternal Buddha. Rain or storm, what does it matter? Though I cry because of the deep-rooted karma each of us has to bear, there wells up the deepest joy that I can smile.